Well, hi everyone. I'm Amanda Puck. I'm with Mariano's, and we're happy to have you here for a very special series of Mariano's meetups with Pilot Light. We're very excited to launch this, and I'll let Katie give us more information on that. But during the meetups, there's a chat button in the middle of your screen where my finger's kind of pointing, and Paul will love questions, so you can ask him questions, and Sarah's also on the line with me from Mariano's and will help moderate that. But we're really excited to have Chef Paul Kahan here today, who is chef and partner of the One-Off Hospitality Group, some of all of our favorite restaurants in the city of Chicago. And he'll tell us a little bit more about that later. But he's also one of the founding members of Pilot Light. And we have a very special partnership with Pilot Light right now. And I'm going to let Katie Colvin, who's the Director of Education, talk about Pilot Light. And then we're going to have Paul show us how to make an awesome dish.
All right, great. Thank you so much. I'm Katie Colvin. I'm our Director of Education at Pilot Light. Pilot Light's a nonprofit based in Chicago that works with teachers and chefs to bring food education into classrooms. Our resources are now available online on our Food Education Center, where teachers and families can access them nationwide. With COVID-19, Pilot Light responded to support families, students, and teachers by launching our Family Meal Program. Our family meals air on social media Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 4 p.m. Central, and include videos like the one that's happening right now that feature a chef showing you how to make a recipe. You can then log on to our family resources on our Food Education Center to view Common Core-based lessons for reading, writing, and math that are related to the recipe that you'll see in the video. Today, we're excited to be partnering with Mariano's and also Chef Paul Kahan, who's one of our founding chefs, to show us how to make Mediterranean fish and seafood stew with crusty bread. After making this recipe, please visit our family resources on our Food Education Center for a Common Core writing lesson that goes along with Chef Paul's recipe, and it's an opportunity for children to practice their expository writing skills. So without further ado, thank you to Mariano's again, and I'll pass it over to Chef Paul Kahan.
Yay!
Yay!
Well, first and foremost, welcome to all you. I can only see 8 at a time on my screen. I don't know how many of you are out there, but really excited to have you in my house. Maybe I'll take you on a little tour of the kitchen and the pantry and the garden later. That'll be kind of weird, but it'll be fun. I guess, I chose this recipe because it's one of the first recipes that I really came up with entirely on my own. And it was 23 years ago that we opened our first restaurant, Blackbird, on Randolph Street. And this was a signature dish for many, many years. For 20 years it was on the menu before the young man who's the chef there now, Ryan, sort of updated it and modernized it. Not to say that I'm a dinosaur, but it's really deeply rooted in the flavors of the Mediterranean. It's really easy to make. There's a lot of, I think, cooking techniques that are really important. So with that, first I'll go through the ingredient list. Extra virgin olive oil, and I'll just say a little bit about ingredients as we go. Extra virgin olive oil first. Man, just checking out the brand there, what it is. You guys know what extra virgin means, most of you, right? Well, I can't hear you, so it means it's the first pressing from the olives. So the first time they pick the olives from the trees, they press them. The first juice that comes out is extra virgin. It's the richest and has the most flavor. Second, garlic. And the recipe calls for 8 cloves of garlic, peeled. And 8 cloves of garlic is a little misleading. I mean, if you have garlic A and garlic B, right? Well, what's the story? It's going to be really garlicky if you use garlic A, and it's not going to be as garlicky if you use garlic B. So my big thing is common sense is key in cooking, and tasting is key. If you learn anything, don't be afraid of the recipe. Use your common sense. And so if I had this garlic here, which is this beautiful red garlic, it's really fresh. It's the early garlic of the season. It'll be a little milder and a little sweeter. I would say one of these is equal to 2. So I'll only use 4. Got it? Another thing I wanted to mention about garlic is we have a little dish that sits on our counter, and as the garlic sits out there and gets drier, sometimes it sprouts. You guys see this problem here, the little green sprout that comes out? What do you do when garlic sprouts? Anyone?
I always wondered. Do you grow it?
Susan Morrow, I'm going to show you what green garlic is later because I have it grown in the garden. So we'll go outside and we'll yank out a green garlic. But green garlic is really, it's when garlic is about the size of a scallion. It's before it actually forms the head. And so green garlic is absolutely terrific to cook with. You can get it this time of year at the early farmers markets. Generally, grocery stores don't normally have it. But when your garlic sprouts, always cut that out. You can eat it, it won't make you sick, but it's very bitter. And so if you have a sprout in the center of your garlic, when you clean it, cut it in half and pull that sprout out. Okay? Cool? That's the garlic. And the way that I've cut the garlic, and you can cut it whatever your preference is. You can cut it, can you see this, everyone? Ish? You can cut it one way or the other. It doesn't really make a difference. It's not going to cook differently, whichever way is more aesthetically pleasing. And you want to cut it about as thin as you can. Got it?
Yes.
If I cut myself during this, it wouldn't be the first time I've cut myself during a demo. Okay? All right, that's garlic. That's my spiel on garlic. Onions. One big yellow onion or white onion. And the way we cut that is first we cut the ends off and then cut it in half. So ends off. Cut it in half. Peel the paper off the outside. I'm gonna go one layer deep. That first layer can be a little nasty. Okay. And then need my compost container, sorry. Forgot that. I remember almost everything, but not my compost container. And then you can cut the onion into rings this way, or you can julienne it this way. I prefer to do it this way, not the rings. So it ends up in pieces like this. You guys see that? I feel like when you cut it this way,
yeah,
I tell you more about composting. I will. But when you cut it this way, I feel like it breaks down less than when you cut it into rings. For some reason, the structure of the onion holds up better when you cut it this way. And I want that texture to remain, even after I've sweated it, after I've cooked it slowly with the onions and garlic and potatoes. So I'm gonna finish cutting this onion. So I'm not sure what you want to know about composting, other than my wife and I have done it at our house here in Chicago for 22 years. Oftentimes people get those enclosed composters, which work pretty well in Chicago because of our friend, the raton. Our composter is open. It's just 4 poles that I'll show you guys that we put wood slats around that let the air in. And basically we put all non-protein vegetable scraps in there. I put grass clippings in there. I put all the yard clippings in there. And it produces amazing black dirt. Sometimes there's a rat situation, but we have 2 dogs now. And so they keep our little furry friends away. Other than that, I'll show, like I said, I'll show you guys my garden. It's of course early in the season, but the dirt is great, and it makes me feel really good that I'm not throwing more stuff in the trash. So you guys,
is it hard to? I mean, it would be hard to compost in an apartment or like a high rise. Because what would you do with it?
You would not. It'd be impossible, unless you could do it on the roof.
Right.
It's got to be exposed to the sun because the heat is what kind of cooks it and breaks all those things down. So there's the onion. All right. And then the next ingredient on the list is 1 bulb of fennel. There was a top on here. I cut it off. You guys all know what fennel looks like. Fennel can be a little elusive to people. Oh, exactly. Amanda has the same exact fennel bulb that I do.
I know, it's totally, I was just thinking that. It's crazy.
And then what you do is you cut it in half. Again, either way is okay, but I like to cut it across the shorter side. So that I guess you'd say perpendicular to the stalk. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So perpendicular to the stalk. So I'm going to cut it in half that way. And that's what it looks like in the inside. That's a core. On bigger fennel like this, it's not very edible. It's okay. My dog that loves root vegetables will eat it and love it, but it's a little chewy. On smaller fennel, sometimes at the grocery store, the bulbs are smaller, and you could include the whole core. Again, back to that common sense thing that I talked about before. Just try it, taste it, put it in your mouth. If it's very fibrous, cut it out. It's like the core of a parsnip. I cooked parsnips last night, and on the smaller part, they look like carrots, but they're whiter. On the front part, there's very little core, and it's not fibrous. On the back, the core can be really hard, and you can cook it forever, and it's still very chewy. So you cut the core out. In this case, we're going to cut the core out. So I'll cut the halves and quarters, and then on a diagonal, I'll cut that core out. So that's what it looks like finished. Core's cut out. Dig? You guys understand? All good? And then
Got it.
Pardon me?
I said, got it. I got mine out.
All right, into the compost. All right. Okay. And if you choose to do fennel far in advance, if you julienne the head, squeeze a little lemon juice on it because it'll discolor. Hey, Paul. Good to see you. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and julienne this now. And that just means cut it into thin little slices. And that's what they end up looking like. Okay? It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm a big proponent of things not being perfect in cooking. And this is sort of a rustic fish stew, so if the chunks were a little big, I'd be okay with that. Okay, and then the last quarter. Okay, so that's my onion and fennel. It's a big part of the base. And then red potatoes. I've already cut these up and I put them in water again because these will turn brown. So it says to cut them in about a 1/4 inch thick slices. So there's your potato. And again, it's personal preference. You can cut them the long way or the short way. I think the short ways, well, I don't know. Maybe if you're a Republican, you cut it the long way, and a Democrat, you cut it the short way. I don't know. Anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and drain the water off of these right now. All right. That's my potatoes. Cool. And then bay leaf, fresh or dried. It's pretty cool. Most grocery stores, I know Mariano's, the other one, and the other one, they pretty much all sell fresh bay leaves now. And eventually in your fridge, even if they're in there for a month, they will get dry and you can just put them in a sealed container in your fridge. But fresh bay leaves have just a beautiful, beautiful taste. You know, one of my first cooking jobs was working at Frontera Grill for Rick Bayless, who I was on a call with today. And I remember we made a tomato sauce, a simple tomato sauce, and we flavored it with a lot of fresh bay leaf. And it was very, you just don't realize how special the taste of bay is. It's usually used as an outside flavor or something that adds depth to what you're making, as in this case. But fresh bay is really special, so I highly recommend it. It's delicious. Saffron, which is optional but highly recommended. Everyone's scared of how expensive saffron is, but it's one of those things where once it's in your pantry and you have a use for it, it's never going to go bad if it's in a sealed container. And you need so little. Like if this jar, which I'm proud to say is from a friend in Italy who we've actually been on her farm and helped prune the olive trees, but they produce saffron there and they grow wine grapes. So I've seen where this saffron grows, but this jar, if it costs $30, which seems like a lot for this little thing, will last me 5 years. I mean, literally a pinch of saffron, because if you use too much, it has a very medicinal quality to it, but it adds color and it adds really interesting flavor. So optional, but highly recommended, saffron. Can of tomatoes. I don't know if I said crushed or whole. I think I said whole. And so what we do is we open them up. These are San Marzano. It's a good one. Dump them into a bowl. Splash that all over the floor. And then with clean hands, which these are, just crush them up. If you happen to get crushed tomatoes, you're okay. Be careful, they spit a little bit, but I like to do it nice and coarse. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
You can see my hand, but just nice big chunks. Cool?
Yeah, do you want, so this will have some chunks in it once it's prepared.
Say that again?
Will it be chunky? Will you see the tomato chunks in there once this is prepared?
I'm hopeful.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so you don't have to really uniformly pulp them up too much. And I'll be perfectly honest with you guys, there's no denomination of can of tomato that's the right size for this recipe. 28 ounces may be a little bit much, in which case you could put it in a bag and throw the leftover in your freezer and save those up and use them for something else. That's what we do. But we'll get to that in a sec. Okay. Clam juice. You guys got your 2 8-ounce clam juices? Now, normally, if I were making this at the restaurant, I would make fish stock, fish fumet, which is really easy to make. I think some grocery stores sell it. I think some fish markets sell it. I know Dirk sells it over on Clybourne over there, which is a really good fish market. Clam juice works as well, like with water. The two kind of taste very similar, and that's just fish fumet or fish stock is made with fish bones. It's made with some vegetables, some aromatic vegetables, onion, carrots, celery, some herbs, and you cover that all with water, and you just bring it to a boil and then drain it, and that's your the backbone to your soup. And so we're substituting clam juice and water. Pernod, which is optional, which is anise flavored liqueur from France. The old men sit around in Aix-en-Provence drinking Pernod. They pour it over ice and they add water to it and dilute it, and it makes the colors look really beautiful to them in the provincial sky. Sriracha, we all know it's commonplace now. I think this has been in my fridge for 4 years. It's got so much vinegar and salt and chilies in it, it never goes bad, but it makes everything taste better. And finally, parsley, thyme, salt, and pepper. So you all know what parsley is, and that's just the leaves chopped up coarsely. Thyme, we'll pull the leaves off the sprigs. That's fresh thyme. Okay? I've watched culinary students. I say, I need 1/4 cup of thyme. 2 hours I come back, and they still don't have a 1/4 cup of thyme because they're picking one leaf at a time very gingerly. Doesn't matter. Again, common sense. If sometimes they have stalks coming off and the stalks are a little fibrous, this is only a central stalk and then the leaves. So just pull the leaves off, and then once they're all off, you just run a knife through them, and that's your fresh thyme. Boom, 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 boom. And the parsley, I like to just kind of fold the leaves over and run my knife through it, just like that. And then a couple more chops, and you're done. Nice and rustic, okay? You guys have any questions at this point? So that's all the ingredients. Is that too many? Does that seem hard? Or does it seem like we're gonna be able to make this easily?
I think it sounds great. I think we're going to be able to make it easily.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I forgot the most important thing, our fish. But you know what? I'm gonna wait for our fish and seafood till we get the base of the soup going, which we're gonna do now, all right? So on with the heat. I'm gonna turn the heat to medium. Favorite spoon? Gift from the incredible and famous chef in Philadelphia, Mark Vetri, for Christmas. It's probably the best Italian chef in America. This is a risotto spoon.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think so. And then my quarter cup of extra virgin olive oil. Say when you think it's a quarter. Anybody?
Now,
Perfect. You're exactly right. All right. And I'm going to heat that probably for not quite till it's smoking. Okay. Is that Rick Cooper? Hey, call me every 15 minutes. It's nice because I don't know if you guys know, but on the Zoom, different people pop in and out. And
Yeah.
so, great friend of ours and an investor in a couple of our restaurants, Avec and the publican, Rick Cooper, just popped on the screen. Hello, Rick. You're not in Hawaii, are you?
here, wait, I'm going to unmute him. Hold on. Hi, Rick.
Tell them where I at. Hi. Can you tell? I'm in Michigan, Paul.
Oh, hi, Rick.
I'm in the woods. How you doing?
Doing great.
Good. Good to see you.
All right, so she's heating up there, and I'm going to go in with the fennel, the onion, the garlic, and the potatoes, right? And the bay leaf. That's what the recipe calls for. All right? Letting her heat up. And you want to hear it sizzle a little bit when you throw your stuff in there. And you can see the color of the oil changes from very bright yellow. It starts to get a little duller in color, and that's a good indication that it's heating up. And you can always throw in one smidge of onion. You guys hear it sizzle or no? I can. I think we're good. So I'm going to go in first with the fennel and onions. Never in first with the garlic. If you throw the garlic in first, it's going to burn. And all the liquid that gets released from the onion and fennel, these things have liquid in them, will help to shield that garlic from burning. You never want to burn garlic. It gets bitter. Just like you never want to have that sprout in the garlic because it's bitter. You never want to burn garlic. And I'm going to stir that around just a little bit. Coat it with the oil. That'll start to release a little bit of liquid that'll help shield our garlic from burning. Then our 8 cloves are the equivalent of 8 cloves of garlic. All right? And then the potatoes that I had in water, and I've drained those. Whew, it's flying. Okay. At this point, key component to the way that I like to cook. I'm going to season this with a little bit of salt and pepper now. Not a lot, not the quantity that you think will be necessary to finish it, but enough just to get it started. So I find that when you season it as you go, it helps define all the flavors. It just helps the whole thing taste better. I don't know if that makes sense at all. And for this, you guys don't have this, but since I don't have anise, I'm using this. A friend of mine, his name is Lior Surkars. He's the greatest spice blender in America. You can see that www.leboitny.com. I buy a lot of my spices from him. This is a combination of beautiful salt and fennel pollen and fennel seed. So this is going to make up for that lack of anise flavor. So a little bit of that beautiful salt. I would just use regular salt if that's what I had. And then fresh pepper. Give it another stir. I think Amanda jumped the gun there. I think it was a little less than a quarter cup of olive oil. So I'm going to add a touch more. And then I'm going to turn my heat down just a tad. And I'm going to run and get a lid. I'll be right back.
I don't know about everyone else, but that bread in the background looks delicious, doesn't it?
It does. Then I'm going to cover that. So it's medium low or medium heat, I would say, and it's called sweating right now. So it's steaming in the pan. It's not going to brown. All those flavors are going to kind of meld. The potatoes are going to steam, and when the potatoes are just tender, when you just pierce them with the tip of a knife, then we throw in the rest of the stuff. We throw in the tomatoes. Actually, we throw in white wine. We throw in tomatoes. We throw in, what did I miss?
The bay leaf.
Saffron, bay leaf's in there. Oh, I missed it. You're right. Or did I? Oh, there it is. Thanks, Amanda.
You're welcome.
All right. So all that stuff's in there. It's sweating. And then I'll open the lid a couple times. I'll check it. I'll throw in a pinch of saffron. I'll throw in the majority of the 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes and the white wine, and I'll turn the heat up to high. And I'll cook that rapidly, stirring occasionally till it's almost dry. And that intensifies the tomato. It blooms the saffron. It reduces that white wine and cooks all the alcohol out of it. And then we throw in our clam juice and our water, or at Blackbird back in the day, it would have been our fish fumet. And we just bring that up to a boil. And by that time, the potatoes should be soft. All the vegetables should be perfect. And then we'll adjust the seasonings on that with sriracha, Fennel, salt and pepper. That's it. And then the fish go in. And so now we're going to talk about the fish. Let me clean up my situation over here a little bit. Oh, found an onion. And you can check on it. You're not going to ruin anything by letting the steam out. You just want to make sure that it's not burning, that it's cooking nice and slow. The potatoes start to look a little waxy. You can see there's condensation on the lid of the pot. Let's see what this looks like. Got it? All right. I'm just going to turn it up just a tad. I don't know if you guys are wondering what kind of stove I'm cooking on here, this beautiful stove, but, and this is not a product endorsement, but it's, but it's Blue Star. The company's called Blue Star. My favorite stove ever. I've had quite a few, and it's maybe not the slickest, but it's the most similar to a restaurant stove. So it has a ton of power. It has a lot of, I'll broil the bread to crisp it up before we serve this. So there's so many things about it that make it seem like the stove that I'd cook on at the restaurant. So I'm gonna get the fish now. And really, the beauty of this recipe is you could use any fish or seafood. Once the base is done, if you cool it properly, you could put it in Ziploc bags and freeze it. and put it in the fridge, maybe in 4 different bags. Maybe each one is enough for 2, or maybe you double the recipe. And then you can go to the store and you can get 8 pieces of shrimp. You can get a little bit of crab meat. You can get a piece of halibut, and on and on and on. It's really anything that you want. And you'll see once all this seafood goes in there and cooks, it cooks very quickly. So you just thaw that soup base out, put it in a pot like you were making normal soup, heat it up, and then drop the seafood in there, let it poach in there, adjust the seasoning, and eat. So it's a great way to cook fish. So I do everything. I go overboard always. So I apologize if you're doing the recipe and it seems like there's too much stuff here. There probably is. But for my fish stew that I'm eating for dinner tonight, and always change your cutting board when you're cutting fish. Never cut fish, meat, chicken on the same cutting board. You'll make yourself sick. I've chosen cod, halibut, and whitefish. And actually, truth be told, at the restaurant, when we served this, we used fish scrap. So we used whatever was left over from the butchering of all the whole fish that we got in that day. And so what we want to do is we want to, if it has skin, we want to cut the skin off. And then we want to cut the fish into chunks. And so the first one is halibut. And it's beautiful. Halibut's in season now. It's very inexpensive. You can see how it looks perfect, right? It's shiny.
Gorgeous.
You know, when you look at the fish in the fish case, when I was buying the cod, there was beautiful snow white cod underneath the cod that was on top, which was kind of gray brown. And Sarah, I will make sure to send in a recap. Okay. Anyways, I said, hey, I'd like the cod that's underneath. Is that okay? And the fishmonger said, sure, you can have whatever you want. And so realize that you're dictating what you get when you go to that fish counter, and that's really important. Obviously, they want to sell the older stuff first, so it's on top. And if it all looks the same, it all looks the same. But in the case of this cod, if it's snow white and transparent, and you can even ask to smell fish, they put it on a piece of paper and put your nose up to it, and it should never smell off. It should smell like fish, of course, but never nasty, okay? Get there. You get a little brown, so I'm going to turn it down. Okay. So at any rate, the way to cut the skin off fish is go to an end and you look for a little flap hanging out. You see there's this little flap hanging out. And you put your knife up to that flap, and then your knife should be tilted at a 45-degree angle downward. And you just hold onto the skin and move the side. And there it is, it's off. I mean, you could also turn it over and stick your knife underneath and cut back and forth both ways. And then we're going to cut this into chunks. And I like bigger chunks, like I said. They're going to break up in the stew. And so those are my halibut chunks. Cool? Next, we're going to go to the whitefish, which is a lot more delicate. And I recommend you guys that when you're buying fish, before you go to buy fish, if you've never bought fish, go onto the Monterey Bay Aquarium website. Look up Monterey Bay Aquarium, and they have a site that tells you what fish is recommended to buy, what fish is sustainable, what seafood is sustainable, and what is not. And so I highly recommend that. And it's a green, yellow, and red light system. So obviously, don't buy anything that's a red light. Be hesitant to buy anything that's a yellow, and buy everything that's on the green list, because I'm not going to get too preachy on you, but our oceans are in big trouble. And some of you younger viewers on there will not be eating fish later in your life unless we follow those guidelines. Hey, Mary.
Hi. Smells good.
How's it going? Guess you see my wife? There's Mary.
Hi.
Rick Cooper, Mary.
Hey, Rick.
Anyways,
Smells great.
we'll be having fish stew soon, huh?
Ah, can't wait.
All right, so whitefish, I'm gonna cut the skin off the same way. And whitefish is softer. This is from the Great Lakes. I'll also recommend a book that my wife recommended to me called The Death and Life of the Great Lakes. One of the more fascinating books that I've read in a long time. And one of the few success stories in our fisheries in the Great Lakes, due to invasive species and on and on and on. One of the few success stories is whitefish. There's actually the new invasive species in the Great Lake is called quagga mussels, not, what were they called before? Zebra mussels. So zebra mussels have been forced out by quagga mussels, which grow and spread even quicker and are basically everywhere in the Great Lakes and will be everywhere in most waterways in our country. Not to be a downer, sorry you guys. But the whitefish have, over a short time, have modified their jaw structure and they're actually able to eat these mussels. So the whitefish population in the Great Lakes is thriving. So whitefish is a really good one to buy. It's very sustainable and it's actually one of the few local fish that we can eat that's delicious. Comes from the really clean waters of northern Lake Michigan and Lake Superior. I missed that question.
And
Anyways.
Paul, if I could just chime in quickly for Pilot Light, I'm glad you're talking about the sustainable seafood list because our writing lesson that's written to go along with this recipe actually asks students to pick a fish and research it, find out about if it's good to eat or not. So it sounds like whitefish would be a great one to pick and research a bit and, write something about that relates to
whitefish is a terrific one. And actually, I think younger kids would get a kick out of that book. It's not. Heck, I read it in a couple of days, so a younger kid would have no problem with it. Yeah, that's great. And sustainability is a big part of what we talk about at Pilot Light. So I'm cutting up the cod right now, and generally cod. Whoa! Oh, jeez. 30-second rule. I'm gonna rinse that off. I'll be right back.
Sarah, we should include the book recommendation also in the recap.
Okay, so the cod is generally skinless. If you get cod with skin on it, it's a good thing. It's really, really rare, and cod is actually skinned by machines in the fisheries. But anyways, I'm cutting up the cod in nice cubes. Similar, okay. If you wanted to use something like salmon, you could. I stray away from oilier fish a little bit. I just don't think it works as well in the stew, but it's absolutely fine. If you want to use frozen fish work great in the stew. Tilapia, perch, cod, anything, but make sure it's fully defrosted before you poach it in the stew. And then finally, make sure that it's dry. So defrost it and then let it sit on paper towels for a while and press the water out of it because that water can impart some nasty flavors. And then the other components are, well, you know what, we're going to take a break here because I think my potatoes are nice and tender. And so I'm going to add my pinch of saffron. And I know people are like, a pinch. It's not like a pinch of tobacco, because a pinch of saffron, like a pinch of tobacco, will make your dish taste like medicine. So it's really, that's how much I'm putting in. Cool? And you'll be surprised. It really changes the color and adds a ton of flavor. And then, and you can see the potatoes are, just from steaming like that, nice and tender. Cool? Ooh. Mouth burning. And then I'm going to add my tomatoes. Oh, white wine. Cup of white wine. Okay. And at this point, you could turn the heat up to high. And the tomatoes. You know what the heck? 28-ounce can is correct. Give it a nice stir. We're going to let that come up to a rapid boil and cook down a little bit, maybe 5 minutes. All right. And then I'll go over the rest of the seafood here. And again, you could use only fish. You could use only fish and shrimp. You could use fish, shrimp, clams, fish, shrimp, mussels, whatever you want when you go to the store that day, whatever seafood looks the best. In this case, I've got some shrimp here. Frozen shrimp are okay. Fresh shrimp are always better. Fresh shrimp should be not from Indonesia. They should be from the Gulf of the United States, ideally. Sustainable. Again, look on the Monterey Bay Aquarium website. I get, I don't know if you guys can hear that boiling away on there. I'll show you what it looks like. Wouldn't it be awesome if my towel caught on fire? You see it?
Yeah, looks great.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. So back on, we're gonna let that cook down. And then, just so you guys know, I got fresh shrimp. I deveined them. You guys know how to devein a shrimp? Most of you, I'm sure, do. It's dealer's choice if you want to take the tail off or leave the tail on. I like to leave the tails on because I'm a guy who eats tails and peanut shells. Weird, but true. So you just get in there on the bottom, kind of peel the tail back. Okay. It looks like that. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. Got it? So I took all the shell off up to the tail. And then with your knife, you make a slit in the center about 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch thick. See that? And that, in the back there, oftentimes there's some nasty stuff. And you use the blade of your knife to just scrape that away. I'm not going to say what that stuff is, but it starts with a P, has 2 O's in the middle, and ends in a P. Got it? So you're cleaning away that stuff. And that's what a cleaned and deveined shrimp looks like. If when you cut that slit in there, there's a lot, you can rinse it under cold water. That's highly recommended, okay? So there's my shrimp. And then I have clams. Whoa, I'm making a mess here. No? Oh, no, I'm good, hon. I have clams and mussels. And the most important thing with the clams and the mussels, has it been 5 minutes yet on my stew? 3.5, right?
3.5.
All right, good. Maybe it's a little more than that, but the most important thing with clams and mussels is when they give them to you at the store, they pack them in ice. That's important. They need to stay really cold. And then with clams, these are called top neck clams. Any size clam except for cherry stone is okay. Cherry stones are about the size of your fist. They're delicious, but not for this. And clams can often be reluctant to open up, so you want to put clams in before the other seafood goes in. You can even wait till they open. It's not really a problem. But you want to leave them in a bowl like this and run them under cold water in your sink with the water draining for about a half hour, just a trickle of water. Because clams often hold a lot of sand. It's called purging the clams. So you want to run that water on them so you get rid of that sand. And that sand will rinse out in the water and you won't have sandy grit in your teeth when you're eating your fish stew. That's number one. Number two, oh, we're getting there. She's cooking down. Number two, with mussels, my recipe called for a pound. They only sell them in 2-pound bags, unfortunately. So you're gonna have to have fish stew 2 nights in a row. But these little mussels that they sell at the grocery stores come pretty clean. But you need to remember that mussels oftentimes have crud on the outside of the shell, and you want to scrape that crud. I like to use a clean green scrubby that you'd use for dishes. That works really well. And if they have a little hairy thing sticking out of the front of the flat shell, it's called the beard. And the beard is how the mussels, they grow these things. I've actually been out in the Atlantic Ocean on a raft. They grow them on ropes hanging from these rafts about a mile out in the ocean. Rope cultured mussels, they're called. And so that beard attaches to a mussel inside, and the beard is really, it'd be like eating not quite as delicate as hair and not quite as chewy as steel wool, somewhere in between. But you want to clean the beard. These had no beards on them, and generally they won't, but sometimes you get mussels that do. And in that case, you're going to put all your mussels in a bowl with water, let the water run, go through them one by one and make sure they're clean on the shell. And if they have a beard, you just pull the beard out, and the the beard will tear out, and it'll be a clean mussel that's ready to go. What was the point I was going to make? Oh yeah, when you're going through the mussels, if any of them are broken, same with clams, if any of the shells are broken, throw those out, discard them. And if any of them are open, use your nose, smell it. If it stinks, throw it out. Or if you're not sure, lots of times they open up a little bit to breathe. You just want to tap it on the counter, because these things are alive. Sorry to say. Tap it on the counter, and if it's good, it'll close. You're fine. Sometimes they open up and they die, but if they just died today in the fridge and they don't smell bad, they smell sweet. I mean, when a mussel's bad, you know it. It smells bad. They're good to use. So this is cooked down. It looks about like onions, garlic, fennel, potatoes, tomato sauce. That's what it looks like at this point. And so now we're going to add our liquid to it. We're going to add our clam juice and our water. So it's two 8-ounce bottles of clam juice. Okay. And 2 cups of water. Man, this recipe is spot on.
Paul, we have a question. Could you use scallops in this recipe?
Oh my God, scallops would be terrific. Again, I don't think there's a fish or seafood that I wouldn't use in this. Like, man, some lobster chunks thrown in there at the end would be just super deluxe. I don't really love lobster, but so at this point my liquid's in there. It looks great. I'm just going to bring it up to a boil and then turn it down to a simmer, and then we're going to season it. Amanda's going to use her Pernod and her sriracha and a little salt and pepper. I don't have any Pernod, so I'm just going to use salt and pepper. And then last, with fresh herbs, we throw those in last, because otherwise you're just cooking the life out of them. So the parsley and the thyme will go in there right before we throw our fish in there, and that keeps the flavor of those herbs super fresh and super delicious. Okay, so we're going to wait for this to come to a boil.
So Paul, we had a few questions earlier. Someone wanted to know about, Robert wants to know, do you have the same pepper or different pepper in the mills behind you?
All those?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, those are, my wife can come down and talk about these. These are, I have collector personality, so I have small collections all over the house. And these are from, I think the first ones of these were made in the late 40s and all the way to the 60s by a Dane named Jens Quistgaard, Quistgaard, maybe. Don't quote me on that spelling. but there's over 100 different designs that Jens Quistgaard made, and he was a brilliant Danish designer, furniture, chairs, all kinds of cool stuff. And so these are very old Peugeot metal mechanisms, and they're from this was the first one that I picked. This one because this was the first one that he made, supposedly, I've been told. And this one is worth on eBay, I could get about $600 for it.
Whoa.
I traded for it, but oftentimes at big modern furniture sales, they sell huge collections of them that go for thousands and thousands of dollars. You can get them for $20, $30, all the way up to hundreds and even 1,000 for some rare wood ones. But I collect the ones that are teak. But most of them are not really great pepper mills at this point in their life. This one actually works pretty good. In all the pepper mills that work, I use Tilletry peppercorns that I get from a place called the Reluctant Trader. It's a spice company that started in Chicago, and his black peppercorns, Tilletry peppercorns, are amazing. So the stew's boiling. Let me show you hold on one sec. I think it's called the Reluctant Trading Experiment.
Yes.
And absolutely terrific guy. And these are just the oil content is super high. It's just incredible black pepper. And I don't fancy myself to be a very good cook, so the better ingredients I can use, the better off everything's going to taste. You know. So all right. So I'm going to turn that to low. Be right back.
That was funny. I got that.
All right, so we're going to taste it now before we dump our seafood in. And I already know that it's going to need some salt and pepper, and it's going to need some heat from the sriracha. Definitely need salt and pepper. Pretty good though. Not too shabby.
It's already delicious as it is.
How's yours, Amanda?
It's really, really, really good. I had also like a fennel spice mixture that I got on my last trip to Italy. You know, I can't wait to go back. But it has like a lot of that. It almost tastes like sausage seasoning.
Oh, that'll work. Sriracha. I'm just going to start with a squirt. Come on. It was a good squirt. Is everyone still hanging on, or did we lose a lot of people?
Oh, I think everyone's still there. Rick Cooper's
Oh,
still there.
Board. Sriracha helped. You know, one thing, and this is an audible. I think, you know, lemon helps with everything, like adding a squeeze of lemon. Even the acidity is pretty good here, and orange and fennel is kind of a match made in heaven in my eyes. So I'm gonna squeeze a little fresh orange juice in there. It's an audible. It's my dinner. It's got to be good. I got to be satisfied. And then, final taste before the seafood goes in. I think it needs a little more salt. That'll do it, guaranteed.
Oh, wow.
But if you don't have an orange, I think lemon is good. I think lime is good. You know, lots of times in Latin fish stews, they add a squeeze of lime or a lime peel. And then, so this thing is simmering right now, and I'm gonna throw in my seafood. And again, if I were gonna wait to eat, I would take this off the heat, put it to the back of the stove and let it sit. And then prepare the rest of the meal. Which reminds me, hold on. The wheels are coming off the truck, you guys. Sorry. So I want to have some crusty bread with my meal. For those of you that don't know, Greg Wade, world's greatest baker, Publican quality bread. Yeah, this is the point, Susan, where you take it off the fire. And if you're gonna wait to eat, the seafood will stay, the fish and seafood will stay in the fridge. Just let it coast. And then when it's time to eat, you know, if I were gonna eat at 5:30, I'd put it back on the stove, I'd bring it up to a simmer, and then I'd throw the seafood in. Greg Wade is incredible, you're right. Just saw him today, he's baking bread right now. So anyways, I'm gonna take this half baguette and cut it horizontally with the bread knife. And then I'm going to drizzle it with olive oil. And a little salt and pepper. And then it's going to go right under the broiler, which I've had on for a second. Let me get a tray. Dogs are going crazy in the yard. They could smell it. You could grill it. Broiling it should work. It's about a 50% chance that I'm going to burn it. So, all right, at that simmer, I'm going to throw my clams in first because they can be a little reluctant, like I said. And you want to, if there's a little water in the bottom, you want to leave that in there because it might have some sand in it. So you see there is water in there. I purged them well so there's no sand in it. Keeping an eye on the bread. Once it starts going, it goes, right? So again, I'm just coaxing these because I don't want to. I'm gonna just wait and I'm gonna look and I'm gonna wait for one to open up a little bit. And I actually see one that's a little bit open. Maybe I'll wait till two. Maybe there was just a weak link on the team. Let it boil a little bit. Another couple seconds on the bread. All right, then I'm going to go in with my mussels. I'm going to use a pound of these. Okay, seems good. Don't really need to stir it much. I'm sure my bread is done. Don't want that smoke alarm to go off. All right. You guys still hear me?
Yeah.
All right, good. So my mussels are just starting to open up. Some of them have opened. I'm going to throw my herbs in. Parsley. And thyme. Much less thyme than parsley. Thyme's a real pungent herb. It's going to take over. So I think the recipe calls for a teaspoon of fresh thyme and 1/8 of a cup of parsley. And everything is opening up nicely here. My mussels are opening up. Clams are still a little reluctant, but I can see them starting to open up. Yep, starting. And all this seafood that goes in here will add a ton of flavor to the dish. And then my fish goes in. And the shrimp. Give this a big stir. And this is a hearty meal for four. Holy mackerel. Let me just let it simmer away here for a moment. You guys have any questions at present?
Susan Morrow has good questions. She also wants to know if your hood, you have to have a different kind of hood because your oven is like a restaurant quality oven.
No, any broiler works.
No, but the hood, your hood.
Oh no, it's just a standard hood that you'd get at Apt or one of those places.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually I had a Viking stove before this, and instead of pulling out the hood and changing it, I just changed the badge. Probably shouldn't tell you that. So everything's coming together here, and I'll show you so you see that shrimp? It's going from, can you see it? It's going from sort of gray to pink. And when all that transparent gray is all pink, it's done. It'll continue cooking with the heat that's left in the pot. So I'm gonna show you guys what this looks like right now. And the fish will really break up. Some of it that's softer will break up. The stuff that's firmer will stay together, and that's perfect. It's awesome. So, can you see it?
Oh, wow, that looks amazing.
How freaking good does that look?
That looks great.
I'm gonna pour some into an individual serving, show you guys what it looks like. It needs to cook another minute. And again, at this point, I'll taste it again because we added a lot of mass. We added a lot of stuff to that. And it may need a little bit more salt. At this point, Amanda, is when I would add a splash of the Fennel.
But I have a problem.
What?
My clams aren't opening.
Your what clams?
Yeah, they haven't opened yet.
That's okay.
So I put the lid on, and I'm hoping for the best.
No, you know what? Like I said, they'll open by the time you eat it.
Okay.
And if they're open a little bit, you can get in there with a knife and just pry them a little bit. Clams they're very reluctant.
Okay.
They're hard to open.
I make linguine white clam every Christmas Eve, and it's like I mean, I love it, and it comes out, but there's always like a few minutes where I'm like, oh my God, they're all duds, they're not gonna open, but then all of a sudden it's like, boom.
You know, for all those things where they say, oh, if the clams don't open, throw them out, I would have thrown out every clam that I've cooked in my entire life, because they're always really hesitant, they're tough, but they'll open, and every time I get in there and I pry them open, they're always good, they're fine.
Okay.
Your nose will tell you, if you were to pry it open, if it was open a little, and it really smelled to high heaven, I would definitely throw it out. But that's like 1 in 1 million clams that I've opened in my career. So, all right, so everything's done here, and this can be set out to the side and served in an hour. Might be a little overcooked, but That's what she looks like. Can you see it?
Oh, wow, that looks gorgeous.
Yay!
Woohoo!
Really good too. You know, the one caveat that I would add is some good mayonnaise smeared on the bread with the fish stew is pretty darn tasty. Aioli, maybe Rick Cooper, the gourmand, would call it aioli. But you can put a little chopped garlic in with the mayonnaise. That's pretty tasty. But that's the deal.
It was fun to make it with you. This is something when we're, can have people over. You can have like 6 to 8 people and kind of make this and have it going.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. It's a great big pot of food you put in the middle of the table. Everyone has a bowl. They have a nice little salad, and you have at it. Maybe some steamed broccoli or I don't know. I think I'm going to pick some arugula from the garden. We're going to have an arugula salad and some wine, and that's it.
Sounds perfect.
Do you guys have any other questions?
I know now's your chance to ask Paul.
Yeah, anybody, come on. No questions at all? Give you guys a tour. Here's my pantry. Inspired by Julia Child's pantry. I don't know where the camera is. Where's the camera at? Oh, let me change this. Hold on. There you go. There's my pantry. Everyone always wants, the questions they ask are, what kind of pots and pans do you use? And I'm an all-clad guy. I love all-clad. But there's another pan. All-clad's my favorite. But then this company, these are the best. Can you see, or are we?
No, we lost you.
Oh,
now we can see. Oh, look at that.
That's an American company. Whoa, it's gone again. That's my finger. There it is. I'm covering it up. That's an American company called Finex. And got their Dutch oven down there. See it?
Yep.
Terrific pots and pans. Great for cooking proteins in. What else did I show you? Oh, look at that. Cooking for good times. He cooks out of his own cookbook. Oh my God. It's a really good book, really easy, highly recommended. Recipes, a lot of them easier than these. Let's see what else is on the cookbook shelf. What the heck? It's weird getting used to this thing. There it is. Oh, there's some good books. Sean Brock, The South. Pasta Grannies. Have you guys seen that book? It's nominated for a James Beard Award.
I have not seen that, but that sounds really fun.
Old Italian grandmas making pastas. It's really incredible. There's my dad, R.I.P. All right, let's go. I'll show you guys the garden real quick. I promise you guys a tour. There's a living room, dining room. Glorious. Fridge. Glorious.
That's cool. That's a really awesome fridge.
Going down the back steps.
Oh, Susan just told us that Pasta Grannies has a YouTube. That would be really fun to watch. I want to watch that.
It's awesome. Be bad if I lock myself out. Yeah, go ahead, Rosa. That's our new puppy, Rosa, and this is Gabe. Gabe's 12. So this is what Rosa's doing to my tree. And I put cayenne pepper down there today, and she actually likes it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like she's truffle hunting or something.
She eats everything in sight. So there's the arugula bed. Nice, huh?
That looks.
If you guys need arugula, just stop by.
I mean, seriously, that's like a whole big. I mean, that's a lot of arugula, Paul.
Yeah, usually I bring a lot into the restaurants, but can't do that now. And then radishes. Radishes are ready. Oh, what'd I do?
But I think you put your finger in front of it again.
Radishes are ready. See them?
Oh, they're really gorgeous ones. Those
Looking
are
good.
really beautiful.
We'll have those tonight. When my lettuces are starting to come up. More radishes. And these are going to be sugar snap peas and Italian broccoli and little gem romaine. Nothing to see there, but
There's the yard, there's the house. That's it. Glorious,
That's
huh?
very cool. Do you do all the gardening yourself, or does someone help you?
No, I do it.
That's awesome. I mean, that's really a big undertaking. It's like a lot. I mean, that's a lot of work right there.
It's what I, my morning coffee, that's where I am in the morning. There's Rosa.
Hey, Rosa.
She's probably eating the fish stew. No, we lucked out. Anywho,
You're the one that likes
no.
the root vegetables.
Robert Tenowitz. You know what, Robert? After the lettuces come out, because the lettuces are early season, I'll pull the arugula up, and that's all tomato plants. And then I plant green beans from seed, where one of the other lettuces are. So this is just I have row covers that I pull over at night when it's cold. And so this is just the first round. So eggplant goes in, tomatoes go in. I have another plot in the side yard. What else goes in? Kohlrabi, celery root. So I have a whole second and third round. I've been doing this for a few years now. So
It's really awesome. Thanks for letting us see that.
Thanks.
It's really great. Well, Rick Cooper wants to see your turntable.
All right. All right. So.
And then we have a few more questions. What kind of wine would go with this?
Here's my turntable, Rick. What kind of wine would go? Well, I am drinking tonight an Italian white from Sicily. I think anything white, for me, obviously on the drier side. Any rustic French, Italian white. I mean, if you need to have your oaky California Chardonnay, by all means, it'll be tasty with this. So I guess any wine that's white, first of all. I also think that any Gamay, there's Beaujolais, there's all the appellations in is it Gamay? And the grape is Gamay. All the appellations in Beaujolais. Yeah, thanks, Rick. He's mouthing it to me. And there's a whole bunch of those. Any Gamay with a little chill on it would be really good. Out of the fridge. Champagne works. Rosé and champagne work with everything. I think rosé. I forgot that one, but that would be. And this is sort of a provincial style fish stew, and
right.
Cold rosé would be terrific. And I would actually eat this meal, on a sunny evening, watching the sun go down in the backyard. What's for dessert? Not much of a pastry chef. Erica, our pastry chef at the Publican, made a couple of desserts for me to try out, and they're going to be desserts that are available for carryout. I don't know what they are. This one's like some kind of lemon trifle. I don't know what's. I'll report back, and then and this one is.
Oh my gosh, what is that?
I don't know. It's delicious. It's going to be delicious. So I think it's blackberries from Peter from Seedling that were frozen. So what would I have for dessert? Honestly, normally we always have a chocolate bar in the drawer. And this brand, I'm a milk chocolate freak, and this stuff we can't get enough of. You guys ever seen this?
Oh, wait, hold it more in the middle. Yes.
And this one is milk chocolate with like little crispy bits and caramel. It's, oh my God. I could eat the whole bar in one sitting, and it's huge, but highly recommended. They're like $4.99, a little pricey, but
delicious.
Yeah.
Alexander wants to know, would browning some chorizo with the veg be a good idea for this, or would that be too much?
Who is this Alexander?
Alexander,
that's a very chefy move. That would be incredible. I think it would be terrific. When would I do it? I don't know. I wouldn't want to boil the heck out of the chorizo. I might brown it, like you said, in another pan and throw it in right before I serve it. I think it would be delicious. or even just crumble the cooked chorizo over the top when you serve it.
Oh my God.
Sounds really good. I'm changing the recipe, Alexander.
Your knives, when you were, the first knife you were using, that was the longer one. I mean, it just looked like it was really cutting everything so smoothly. What kind of knives do you use?
Yeah. All right, I'll give you guys a tour of the knife drawer. I forgot about that. I have this rig here where I have to put a piece of tape on it to hold this from falling, but
We don't want that to happen.
right. So, all right. So the first knife I use is, actually my wife and I were on a trip to San Francisco once, and at a store on the wharf, we bought this one. This is made by Henkel's, the German company, but it's a famous American knife designer named Kramer. It's a very chefy knife, a Kramer. And you can always tell by this little swirly thing on there. See it?
Yes.
That's a Kramer knife. It's carbon steel, so it's really holds an incredible edge. And then the other one, knives that I've used my whole chef career are Masono, a Japanese knife. And that one is, it's Swedish steel. And the model numbers, the ones I like are the 440s are the brand. But I'm kind of, again, I have that collector thing. So we've got a whole, like there's another Kramer, a beautiful Kramer chef's knife. And it doesn't hurt when your office is right next door to a knife shop. And then like here, this is an old French Sabatier slicing knife that I got at a flea market. This is one of my favorite knives. This is a company called Berti from Italy. And I actually got this in one of the mountain towns in Italy, one of the great wine areas. I forget exactly where, but it's olive wood, the handle. But I really love the steel. It just is feels great. And then this is early in my career, I wanted to be like Thomas Keller. I still do. And he always used white handled Henkels, I think these are Henkels, yeah. So I got one of those, and this was a knife that I got many years ago. Mindy Siegel had an event at Hot Chocolate at a restaurant, and this is a Japanese knife made by a German company, and I actually love this one and have held on to it. I give a lot away. You know, I've gotten a lot of free ones over the years that I love to share with cooks and stuff in our restaurants, and so that's the knife. And then to complete all the questions, my favorite kitchen tool, period, meat forks. And especially this little meat fork. I don't know if Matthias Mergis is next week or the week after, or when his demo is, but he gave me this as a gift, and it's a little teeny, they call it a sausage fork. And you could buy these. This one's older, so it's not stamped, it's forged. But I use this to stir things, and I use it to move things in pots and pans, and it's absolutely my favorite kitchen tool, period. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
We love the knife tour was really cool. Thank you for that. I loved it. Everyone's saying really nice things. Everyone wants to make the recipe, and they thought you did an amazing job, which you did, Paul.
Oh, cool.
This was a lot of fun. So before everyone signs off, your restaurants are now open for takeout. 5
of them are.
Okay.
Avec is open for amazing takeout. Really proud of that. Big Star in Wicker Park and Wrigleyville are open for takeout. Pacific Standard Time, terrific meal, and they're actually this week adding pizzas and pitas also available for carryout. That's 4, and then what's number 5? Somebody's gonna yell. Public and Quality Meats, yeah, our butcher shop. So if you go onto our website, we have you can buy Greg's bread on there, and you can buy meat and all kinds of grocery items from the virtual butcher shop. So that's really cool.
And burger night, can't you do burger night takeout?
Yeah, we're starting burger night, and a ton of great chefs from around the country have contributed recipes. So it'll be virtual, but you'll be able to pick up burgers made by really great different chefs, or recipes from great different chefs around the country. And that's 5. And then in the upcoming weeks, we'll bring the Publican on with a really terrific menu. We're going to be doing some CSA boxes to pick up at the Publican. We're going to be doing meal kits from the public, and so you can bring everything home. And we're going to provide videos so that you can go through the video and make the dinner. And then we'll provide prepared meals from the publican. And then Dove's Luncheonette will be coming on, and Cafe Kenkal will be coming on soon after. And Kenkal will have also a great grocery selection along with prepared food and some cool meal kits. So you'll be able to take a kit home and make the delicious mussels that we serve there and all kinds of great other stuff. So that's the plan for now.
That's awesome. And Katie, before we wrap up too, let everyone know about Pilot Light and where they can find more information about the program that we're helping to support.
Yeah, thanks, Amanda. So everyone can check out pilotlightchefs.org. You can learn more information and check out our Food Education Center to view today's lesson. And also this video will be posted over the next few days.
Oh my God, it's a long video.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get it going, Paul, don't worry.
Wow, it was an hour and a half almost, huh?
Well, they didn't record our prep, just, starting at 4. So yeah, this was a long video. This was fun.
Yeah, I really had a good time, and hope you guys all make it and enjoy it, and stay safe and healthy by all means.
Paul, thank you so much. Katie and the team at Pilot Light, we're so excited to work with you guys and support you. And Rick Cooper, thank you for dialing in. It's good to see you. And we'll see everybody really soon.
Bye, you guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.